Rich Colley is, he probably encounters for about 75% of all World Financial Group. So it's a good person to go listen to. Wouldn't you agree? Yes.
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 By the way, I canceled everything I had to go listen to this guy. It was amazing. It was a big deal. My mind got stretched like huge. Right. Let me get right into it. We're gonna get right into some really good nuggets. Okay. Really good nuggets. And I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. Okay. And questions are meant for you to reflect. Yes.
Yes.
So every time you ask a question, you need to reflect on yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So number one, here we go. As you're building your business in here, and as you come in business here, by the way, you do know that you're coming in here and you're in business, right? Yes?
Yes.
You're not an employee, right?
Yes.
So number one, you got to stop acting like a employee, right? So you got to make a distinction immediately, right? So as you show up to the office, the number one goal, I got to tell you, I can't stress enough, the number one goal that you ought to have is you ought to know how to think like an entrepreneur. Does that make sense, right? You also got to know how to think like a professional, right? Think about this. There's a lot of people who go into sports, and there's really good players, and there's average players, and then there's what? Bad players. Yes or yes?
Yes.
So there's really good, there's average, and then there's bad. Yes?
Yes.
Are you guys alive? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the difference between the great player and the average and the bad player? What would you say is the difference? Mindset, yes. Habits, okay. What else? Time, IQ, understanding of the game. What else?
Discipline.
Environment. What else?
Discipline.
Okay. So there's two types of players that show up all the time. Okay. Two types of players. Then I want you to think of yourself in business. You're a professional business player. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes.
And to the degree that you prepare is the degree that you're gonna have results. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So there's two types of players that show up. And this happens in business and in sports. But primarily, you look at this in sports, right? So there's two types of players. Number one, the one player is the player that has a comprehensive improvement plan. You got it? The other player, guess what he has? Nothing. He shows up every day to see what's going on. So what's the difference between the first one and the second one? The first one has a what? Comprehensive improvement plan. And the second one just shows up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now I want you to think of yourself. You just showed up to this meeting today. Do you have a comprehensive improvement plan as you show up here today? Or did you just show up for another meeting? Woo! Fired up. You got it? Yes?
Yeah.
Is there a comprehensive improvement plan for you, or are you just showing up to another meeting? See, I got a big challenge for you. You got to get to SMB the day before yesterday. Because at that point, when you get to SMB, you can't just show up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because now you're running the meeting, you're not in the meeting. Now you got to figure out what you're going to do for your group. So you got to have a comprehensive improvement plan. If you ever want to get to SMB, guess what you got to have? By the way, I'm gonna give you some nuggets on what to work, where you need to work on. So there's always two. When I heard this, I said, "Oh my God, that just changed my whole game." Most people just show up and show up and show up and wake up and show up and wake up and react and not proact. Yes?
Yes.
You wake up and you react. The alarm clock, right? You're late. The light, the this, the that. And somebody called you. By the way, if you're taking phone calls and you're going all over the place, somebody's controlling your schedule. You're not. Every time somebody calls you, it's because they want something from you. Yes. So you allow all these distractions to take over. So, anyways, do you have a comprehensive improvement plan, or do you just show up? Is that a good question?
Yes.
So you got to start answering those yourself. So what's your plan every single day? Do you go to sleep without having a plan for the next day, and you wake up to see what's going to happen? And then everybody else controls everything you do. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Another question. Wow, this is a good one. Would you rather be tough or would you rather be privileged? Would you rather be tough or would you rather be privileged? You can answer that yourself. Would you rather be tough or would you rather be gifted? Which one of the two? You know what I would pick? Tough, all day long. Here. You know what the biggest... There's a disease that goes on in our office. There's a disease that goes on. It's called pansyitis. You guys want to know the symptoms?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, I'm just being general. You take it as it comes, yes?
Yes.
So there's a disease. By the way, it happens in sports and it happens in business. It's the number one reason why people will never succeed. It's called the disease of being a pansy. You got it? Being a what?
Pansy.
Oh, I'm not a pansy. Just because you said it, you are. Right? Number one. If you have this, you're a... By the way, don't get offended. If you have it, work on it. Does that make sense? Yes or yes?
Yes.
By the way, listen to me. Most employees are...
Pansies.
Most employees are...
Pansies.
Most. I didn't say all of them. Don't get offended, right? It doesn't matter if you get offended. So, if you have this, you're a what?
Pansy.
You guys want to know the symptoms? Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. Number one, you want winning to be easy. You want win. Well, why is it so hard? And why do I gotta stay here? And it's hot. And it's like, wah. Well, I thought it was only... Cut it. You want winning to be easy. If you want winning in any area of your life, if you want things to be easy, you're a pansy. Yes?
Yes.
Look, everything good and worthwhile is not easy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
Number two. Wow, this is a big one. You want life to be fair. Have you ever heard anybody say, well, it's just not fair. They laid me off. It's not fair. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
Yeah.
Most pansies think life is not fair. Life is not fair. And it's not going to be fair. You know, when I was going through this retreat, and Polly talked about, he says, I love the fact when my children got mistreated by somebody else. You got it? Because they understand immediately that it's not going to be fair. And there was a lesson to learn there. So what are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do about it? So life is not going to be fair. You got to step it up. So you're a pansy if you think life is fair. Right? Although I didn't say it, it's the guy who has 75% of the coats in the company. Number three. You guys want to hear number three?
Yes.
Oh, this is a good one. You're a pansy if your feelings are easily hurt. Woo! If your feelings are easily hurt. Nobody can ever make a mistake. Nobody can say something to you and you're offended. If you get offended very easy, you're a pansy. Got it?
Yes.
Some of you are like, oh my God, I have that one, I have that one, I have that one. Woo! Don't kill the messenger, okay? Number four. You're a pansy if you worry about what other people think or say about you. You're a big pansy if you worry about that. I mean, huge. I'm sorry, what? If you worry about what other people think or say about you. By the way, it really doesn't matter. It does not matter. At the end of the day, it's what you know about yourself and who are you doing this for.
Yeah.
Believe me, in my opinion, that's one of the biggest things that stops people from doing anything in life. Period. Well, what is it going to say? What is it? It's like, bah, slap them.
Yeah.
Remember, we talk about this, right? There's an inner voice, right? And every time your inner voice starts talking, what do? You go like this, right? You go like this, and what do? Like this. All of you, like this. All of you, every single one of you. Some of you are not doing it. Be coachable. And then man, life is not fair. And you go, oh, shut up! By the way, I dare you to listen to me. I dare you to actually do it while you're driving or you're in the restaurant, and you're like, shut up! Do you know what happens if you do that? I want you to understand one thing. See, you think this is weird, but normal, poor, weird, rich. Yes?
Yes.
I guarantee you, most people that are like the same, it's like no. Anyways, you know what happens if you do that? I mean, I've done it. I've done it, right? You know what happens if you do that? Not only does your state changes, but then people around you start laughing. By the way, you're a pansy if you worry about what other people think or say about you. Yes?
Yes.
Who cares? You just change the whole state of the entire room. So imagine you're just sitting there and you start getting these nasty, ugly thoughts, and you're like, "Shut up!" Number five. Number five. You're a pansy if you're afraid to compete. If you do not like to compete, you're a pansy. Who was here in our area-wide full timers? Raising hand. Did you guys see how Paul Ireton closed with Vince Lombardi about winning? I have that book. I've been since he read it. I've been reading it every day about winning. It's something you got to do no matter what. Not only do you have to do it, but then you got to teach your children how to do it. Winning is a way of life. Period. By the way, so is losing. So you're a pansy if you're afraid to compete. Well, no, I'm not competitive. You're a pansy. Number six, you're a pansy if you think someone else is supposed to do it for you. Wow. You're a pansy if you think someone else is supposed to do it for you. That's a big one. Number seven. You guys got it? Someone else is supposed to do it for you. Write faster. You're a pansy if you don't write fast. I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. That's not fair. You hurt my feelings. Wow. Shut up! Hey. So I remember when we were going through Elite Circle with Dan, right? With Dan. And he would like go through the slides like crazy. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago. 6 years ago. Like crazy, right? And then you would get tested on the slides. So you're a pansy if you can write fast. I'm just kidding. Verbatim. Number 7, you're a pansy if you're easily distracted. That's not fair. What'd you say? If you're easily distracted. Think about it. By the way, should you focus on one thing, or is it great to be a multitasker? What do you think? One thing or a multitasker? Who says multitasker? Who said one thing? I'll give you a hint. The owner of the company, what do they focus on? One thing. And they hire people who can multitask. You got it? So isn't that correct? The owner of the company focus on one thing: growth, development, sales. That's their main focus. Yes. Profit, blah blah blah. And they hire people who can multitask, right? So don't get distracted. Focus on one thing. Go for it. Aim at it, right? Number 8. Wow. You're a pansy if you think like an entrepreneur, if you think like an employee and not an entrepreneur. By the way, why is that? Why am I telling you here? Why am I telling you this here? Because you joined our business to be an entrepreneur. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You didn't join our business to continue to be an employee. Does that make sense? Yes. Some of you want to be part-time forever. Well, then that's okay. For those of you who join our business to own a business, if you continue to think like an employee, you're a pansy. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes. How does an employee think? Give me some examples. Give me some examples.
What do I need to do? Wait for instruction. What are the benefits? When's my break?
When's my break? When's my break? When do we get to go home? Right?
Vacation.
Vacation pay.
Holidays.
Holidays. When's lunch?
Sick days.
Sick days. This is a good one. Trading time for money. Right? Here, I'm gonna give you an example. You start working with us, right? You have your full-time job. You come in here, right? And you're part-time, and you don't get your spouse involved. Got it? Yes? You both have a job, yes?
Yes.
All of a sudden, you start doing completely the opposite of this, and they think like this. Guess what they're going to start telling you? Well, you're not making any money. What are you doing? Yes? That's called thinking like an employee, right? Howard Schultz from Starbucks. Roughly, don't quote me, but roughly, for those of you who are analytical, I think he was over $1 million in debt on his second year of building his business. That's called negative income. 2 years of working. You got it? That's called an entrepreneur. An employee works, wants to get paid. Works. By the way, they work like 20% of the time. They want to get paid 100% of the time. Yes?
Yeah.
Take one break, another break, talk on the phone, another break, talk on the phone, go take a pee-pee break, go to lunch, right? Gossip, talk on the phone, another break, then go home. Oh, I work so hard. If you're an entrepreneur and you do that kind of stuff, you're broke. As an entrepreneur, you work 10 times harder to try to get paid this much. But as an entrepreneur, you got to work on yourself. As an employee, you just work on the task. Does that make sense? You know why I love our company and our business? The moment you walk in, you're walking into a bunch of mirrors. And every time you're trying to look to see whose fault it is, guess what happens? So the biggest thing is you got to allow yourself to grow and develop. Yes?
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
So you got those?
Yeah.
By the way, teach this to your people. Teach it to your people. It's in winning. There's a couple of things that you got to make sure. In my opinion, as soon as you bring people on board, they're gonna think like a employee, and that's normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's normal. That's where they come from. But it's your ability to start teaching a different language. Does that make sense? Yes? A different world. When we do our slides and when we close our slides, we say that we have an entrepreneur program. What's your entrepreneur program for your new people? You know where it starts? With their mindset. First with your mindset, and then immediately you teach it to them. In my opinion, that's the first thing you start teaching. Their mindset. Says, and the faster I say, hey, let me tell you who's a pansy. And if you think like this and as an entrepreneur, boom, right? Boom. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
You guys learning anything?
Yes.
In winning, 3 things. Very, very simple that are very critically important. Very simple. 3 things if you want to win. Let me write them down here. Okay, number 1, you gotta have something called common what? Sense. Common sense. By the way, that's big. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I'm looking into opening up an office, right? And I was looking at some chairs, right? And one chair, a set of chairs is $20. A chair, $20. The other one, I'm gonna get it for $7. Got it? Common sense. $20 or $7?
No.
$7. Well, it doesn't have a cushion. Well, you buy it. I buy this one. If you want a cushion, bring your own cushion. You got it? Common sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In business, you ought to have common sense. There's a lot of things that are just common sense. You got to practice common sense. If you don't, you're in trouble. Number 2. Wow. Number 2. Something called, what's the opposite of being a pansy?
Tough.
Tough. So you got to have something called mental toughness. Oh boy. You're in for a ride if you don't have this one. Oh, you're not even in for a ride. The first time somebody tells you no, you're gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, some of you complain about your upline, your leader. Oh, you can't deal with that. You will not be able to deal with the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So number 1, you got to have common sense. Number 2, you got to have what?
Mental toughness.
Wow. And number 3. Number 3. What do you guys think is number 3? Don't say it, John.
I'm not. Attitude.
Discipline.
I want you to think of every champion. Kobe, LeBron,
Practice. Work. Will to
What did you say?
Will.
Will to what?
Win.
Will to win. By the way, this stuff gets me fired up. There's a lady in here called the Beast. I think she's got will to win. She don't give a damn. Yes or yes?
Yeah.
And she keeps on going and going and going. And she just, by the way, I don't know if she has anything else, but let me tell you what I believe she has. And her and I don't talk so much, but just by seeing her, let me tell you what I believe she has. A will to what?
Right.
Some people have it, some people don't. If you don't have it and you want to be in business, you're either a pansy or you have the will to win. You gotta hate the word average.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta hate thinking that you're average. By the way, you really gotta think about this. If you start paying attention, there's somebody who's killing it and somebody who's average. What's the difference? It only has to do with your thoughts and what you think and what you do and how you react and your daily habits. Yes or yes?
Yeah.
So all you have to do is start hanging around with some different people and stop being so damn negative.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things that is gonna kill your faith. One is being a pessimist. Two is being a skeptical. That'll kill your faith. A pessimist and being skeptical. It also means that you're gutless.
Mhm.
Skeptical, I'm not willing to take the other step. Yes?
Yes.
Pessimist, anyways. Will to win. If I would go to sleep, wake up, I would think of just winning. Has anybody learned anything?
Yes.
Let me see, what time is it? Okay, we're good. We're good. I might go over. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna take. I wanna get some feedback before we go to the second phase. I wanna get some feedback. What have you guys learned so far? Do me a favor. Take 1 minute, right? 1 minute, and talk to the partner next to you and tell them what you learned so far. And then don't do it at like a 5-hour session. And then the other one tell the other one what you learned so far. Okay? Go ahead. 1 minute. Go for it.
Today at lunch, I came to the realization that I need to change a lot of things about myself. You just like reconfirmed what he said, allow yourself to grow and develop. Like more than learning about the products, more than learning like system, which is all important. I need to first change like myself, my habits, my discipline, before I'm gonna be successful. You know?
No, I actually.
He just like reaffirms everything else.
And it's funny too because I just had an epiphany myself because as a, you know how girls are in general, they just want to just do everything, you know, and that's something that I'm not doing. Like the fact that he said CEO, you know what I mean? They focus on one thing and they say they're not going to get other people to do so, and that's the truth. So being able to do that and being able to be a professional business owner, I think that's probably one of the biggest things coming in here and not having that entrepreneur mindset and just setting yourself for those really good habits about it. I mean, that's really big because we we have an amazing business. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's what separates us from the other people that are closing 50 to 60,000 points. I mean, that whole guts thing, that's what it comes down to, really.
Yeah, it does. I come from doing hair, so like there, everything's just so like loosey goosey. You just do it like, oh yeah, I can squeeze them in. You know, like I'm so used to not having a schedule. Like I had a book and I fit my people in, but like I need to have like a routine. I need every day to be
Disciplinary routine.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I completely agree.
All right. All right.
In one place, though. That's a good thing.
Whoosh, boom. Whoosh, boom. Man, that's awesome. One more time. Whoosh, boom. Nice. I like it. You guys are weirdos. Some of the new people in the room, they're like, you'll get used to it. Okay. So we talked a little bit about mindset, yes?
Yes.
You got that, right?
Yes.
So if you have some of these symptoms, they're just symptoms. Got it?
Yes.
Work on them. Work on them immediately. Go to work on that kind of stuff. In my opinion, not just in business, in every area of your life, that'll help you. Yes?
Yes.
Every area. Teach your children, teach your spouse, teach your brother, your sister. I mean, I hear a bunch of people just crying and whining and crying and about all this nonsense, and they do nothing about it. I'm a little controversial, right? Yes, I follow politics and I do this and I follow it and I do my best to do what I do, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what happens in the White House. What happens in your house is more important.
Yeah.
Because if we do a better job in our house, the whole country will be a lot better. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So anyways, don't be a pansy. Nobody's going to take care of you. You got to step it up. Huh?
Alfonso for president.
No. No. You got to have papers to do that kind of stuff. Whoosh. That was not. All right, I gotta get going. So let's go into business. Yes, let's go into business.
Yes.
So we talked about your mindset, right? We talked about your mindset. So you gotta work on that. If you don't straighten up your mindset, it's gonna be really tough, really, really tough. So let's talk about business. And when we talk about business, there's certain areas that you gotta be able to track if you're in business. It's like somebody who's in the restaurant business. They want to know how many people are gonna show up, to know how many plates they're gonna prepare, how much food they're gonna have ready. Does that make sense? There's certain things that you must know in business to be a business. Yes or yes?
Yes.
So as you come here, you can't just again. Do you have a comprehensive improvement plan, or do you just show up? Got it? So you got to know what you're working on if you're in business here today, right? So number one question, and then this starts, it continues. Number one, the question: why do we recruit? Why do we recruit? Okay. So we're in business, right? And all of you guys are crazy about recruiting. Why? Why? Give me some answers. Lifestyle. Leverage. Duplication. Building team.
Longevity.
I'm sorry? Okay, I said so. What else? Freedom. Huh? Override. Why? Why the override? Why the duplication?
Lifestyle. Longevity.
Time. Come on.
Be financially
There's only one reason why we recruit. If you fall in love with this, by the way, people are going to ask you. People are going to tell you, well, I don't like to recruit. Right? Haven't you ever heard of somebody say, man, I love to help people. Yes?
Yeah.
But I don't want to recruit anybody. The main reason in our company, in the way our company was founded, and the way we go about things, and the way the entire thing started, there's only one reason. There was one passion behind our crusade of our company. The number one reason why this whole thing started was to help people. That was the number one reason why this whole thing started. Help people what? Number one, live better what? Lives. And number two, become happier. Happier, better people. You got it? So you got the answer. As you're recruiting somebody, you say you like to recruit, you like to help people. These are the two main reasons. To help people and to help people live better lives and become happier, better people. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
By the way, ask you a question. Where's Dean? He left. Dean. He had five pieces of business. Do you think he helped somebody put something in place in order? Yes?
Yes.
Now let me ask you a question. Is your life a little better, or your understanding or anything about your life better because you got started with our company? Raise your hand if it's yes. Raise your hand if it's no. So 100% of you have better deals here. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
That's the number one reason why we recruit people. By the way, if we recruit a lot of people, can we help more people?
Yes.
If it's only this room, can we really make an impact in society? No. If it's only this room. No. So the number one reason why we recruit is to help people live better lives and become happier and better people. By the way, I would use that language if I was you 100% of the time. Yes or yes?
Yes.
As you're taught. By the way, that's what moves people. Yes?
Yes.
That's what moves people's souls. If you don't talk about this and you talk about your ring and your money and your cash flow and whatever, by the way, even the person, listen to me, even the person who's all about money, this moves their heart. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How people live better lives. How's that for a statement? The reason why we recruit people is to help people live better lives. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Think about this just on this little session right now. Some of you that learned something. Can you apply some of that to your life?
Yes.
Would it increase your life, happier, better life? Yes or yes?
Yes.
That's the number one reason why we do it. You better fall in love with it, talk about it, say about it, be about it. In your team, everywhere you go, this is what we do. Does that make sense? That's the business that you're in. Got it? Yes?
Yes.
Next. So now let's go into some pipelines here. We sell three things. We sell three things. As a company, we sell three things. Got it? How many? Three. How many? Three. Okay. So let's think about this. Let's think about McDonald's, right? What do they sell?
Fries and nuggets.
Burgers, fries, right? Who's McDonald's real client? Okay, so let's think about this. Okay, if the franchisee didn't open a franchise and then another franchisee didn't open a franchise, would McDonald's have a business?
No.
Maybe, but not the way they have it. Yes. So their real client is the franchisee who opened the franchise. Got it?
Yeah.
The byproduct, hamburgers, fries, blah blah blah. Yes.
Yes.
The real client is the franchisee. The product is a franchise. Got it?
Yes.
So we sell three things. Us, our company, there's three things that we sell. And if you understand this, you start seeing this thing in a different perspective. Got it? Number one, we sell the franchise or the opportunity.
OPPORT.
You got it?
Yes.
So we sell the opportunity. My life wouldn't have changed if the guy who came and sold me a policy only sold me a policy and didn't try to recruit me. Yes, we recruit. Yes, we love to recruit. Fall in love with the word. If you don't like the word, you're a pansy. In our business. In our business. Does that make sense? Yes? There's so much you can do by yourself. Like, really. If you want to, have you ever heard the term, if you want to do it right, do it?
Yourself.
No! Find somebody who's good so they can do it. What do you mean, do it yourself? Pansy! Do everything yourself? Really? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Like, no, just find somebody good who can do it. You got to become a leader to do that. Does that make sense? Yes? So we saw the what? Opportunity. So there's a pipeline on that. Okay? You got to understand. So we saw the opportunity. This is the way it works. It starts with a prospect list. Got it? Yes? Do all of you have a prospect list? Yes? Most of you, or 90% of you, or 99% of you, or 100% of you came from a prospect list. Somebody through some source put you in their prospect list. You got it? Yes? Number two. You go from a prospect list to a what? Contact. Contact. Then you go from a contact to what?
Interview.
You can do it however, but BPM, right? One-on-one, whatever the case is. Yes? BPM. You have that system. You don't need to be the best presenter. You don't need to be the best blah, 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 blah. Ruben, are you building a team with us?
Yes.
Have you closed a meeting over there? No. There's a system where he buys into to build his organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Believe me, he's going to get in front of them. He's going to start closing them. But he has a system to do it. Does that make sense? Yes? So do you. Number three. After you do this, then you have to what? Follow up. Follow-up interview. You got to learn how to do that interview. If you don't, that's a leak in your business. Then after you do the interview, you do a what? AMA equals what? A new recruit. That's how the opportunity, that's the pipeline of the opportunity. So now, if you're struggling with this, guess what you do? There's a leak here in your system. You got it? Do you have a comprehensive plan to get what? Better or to improve? I just showed you what you need to improve on. I just gave you some guidance. How does your prospect list look like on a daily basis? Are you adding numbers or is it just done? If you're not adding numbers to the pipeline, it's really tough. Every single day there's more numbers and more numbers and more, right? Your inventory is very cheap. Names and numbers. You don't have to pay for them. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and you got to get really good at this. We'll do a session. I'm going to do a session. We're going to do a fast start with Natalie. And we're going to do a session. We're going to go deeply into details how to get this and how to get better names and numbers and how to, right? How to contact properly, right? So you must get good at this. By the way, I'll tell you something. When I got recruited, the guy who took me out in the field, he went on 9 appointments, sold some policies in my market, right? And then after we were done, guess what he said? You got him, cowboy. Go get him. How do you make a phone call? That's a great question. When you figure out, you let me know. I kid you not. But I don't know how to do a presentation. Great question. Go figure it out. And when you figure out, you let me know. Every time I asked them a question, some of you would have quit already. Oh, they don't train me in here. Oh, pansy. Pansy. Got it? By the way, should we have a system where you get trained and developed? Of course. But if you fall into a place that doesn't exist, well then, you got it right there. You do it. It's your business. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Don't let that be the excuse for you to just leave. I mean, what you want to achieve has to be bigger than somebody not training you properly. If that would be the case. Nobody in here does not get trained properly. Believe me. Okay? Prospect list, contact, BPM, follow up. Can you close somebody? Can you sit in front of them? Do you know the protocol of doing it? Have you been there? Should you be there? So in every area, find the best one. Don't wait for somebody. Find the best one. Hey, you make a lot of calls. I just want to listen to you. Hey, I know you're very good at bringing people in here. You're really good at presenting. Just find the people that are good and make it happen. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Got it. Don't wait. What does it say if you're a pansy? If you think someone else is supposed to do it for you. Look, to a certain point when you get started, yes, we're going to teach you, train you, and develop you. But the sooner you get away from your leader's shadow, the sooner you become a leader. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Obviously, you got to get approved and you got to go through the system of getting approved, but it's got to get done fast. I talk about this all the time. Schleiman has a system of you getting approved, yes?
Yes.
Well, what's taking you so long? Get approved! Like, let's go! I don't know, but I think if I would have been in this base shop and he says, hey man, you got to get approved, man, what was the fastest guy who got approved? Does that make sense? Get approved!
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? What did I say? Somebody farted over there? Or?
Pancreatitis number 3.
Oh. I'm gonna be like a horse. What was I saying? Easily distracted. Pansy. Pansy. So we sell 3 things. One is the opportunity. Got it? Yes?
Yes.
You gotta get really good at selling the what?
Opportunity.
That's just, by the way, if really think about it, if you think you're coming in here and you don't have to learn how to sell, you're in trouble. By the way, just so that you know, every single one of you already knows how to sell.
That's right.
You got to sell your kids on doing this, your spouse on doing this, blah, 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 blah. When you go to an interview, you got to sell, blah, blah, you got to sell yourself. I mean, sales takes place in every area of your life. Yes?
Yes.
So now direct it to this and make sure you do it. So this is selling so we sell 3 things. Number 1, the opportunity. Number 2, we sell what? Products. That's the second thing we sell, right? What's the process behind that? Number 1 is, again, a what? Prospect list. Then what? Contact. Contact. Then after that, we present. We present. Right? Present. Then after that, we close. Then after that, you get a what? Application. Application. Yes. Then after that, you make. No, I'm sorry. After that, you track your business. Yes. And then after that, you make what?
Money.
Money. Referrals is part of your prospect list. Prospect list. You always want to get referrals. Got it? So let's look at the so we sell three things. We sell the opportunity, we sell products. So identify yourself where you're at here. Where are you at? So again, prospect list. How do you contact to set up an appointment with the client? You got it? Yes?
Yes.
Do you know how to present? By the way, if you've been here for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, and you don't know how to present, you've been on 2 appointments. You have a trainer that goes with you on the appointment, and they do some type of stuff. What is it that you do? Whatever it is that they do, there's different presentations. Yes?
Yes.
Do you just say, "Man, that was great," and you just go home? Or do you say, "Hey, can I have some of this stuff so I can take it home? Can I have your notes so I can take it home?" You know what I used to do when I was in the training program deal, field training? The guy that was training me, he had no flip chart, he had nothing, he had a piece of paper. And he would write down everything on the piece of paper. Remember that? Everything on the piece of paper, right? Boom, boom, boom. And he would turn around, run, run. And that was his presentation. And I'm like, oh my God, this dude, man, I have to learn all this stuff, right? But you know what I did? Every appointment, I went like 9, 10 appointments. I said, "Give me that paper." And I would go home and I would wake up my dog. "Hey, doggy, get up." Or anybody, my neighbor, anybody. I would wake up my, "Hey, get up," right? And we would sit down, literally. And I would say, "Okay, you're the client, I'm the trainer." And I would go over that presentation. The first appointment, the second appointment, the third appointment, the fourth appointment, the sixth appointment. By the time I got licensed, I said, "Let's go." I already had the presentation nailed. So, what's your comprehensive plan of what was it? Improvement. Improvement. So, you're going out in the field and you're done. Man, that was awesome. And then you're done. Do you ever think of doing this yourself? How fast? How fast? You're licensed already. You're still not in the field. Oh, it's because I'm not, what is it? I'm not approved. Get approved. Get certified, quick. What does it take to get certified? Find out. Get it done. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so present. Then after you present, you learn how to. By the way, you're probably going to be pretty bad. I shouldn't even say that. I'm not going to other. I shouldn't say that. If you're in the right market with the right people, this deal is the simplest thing ever in our industry, the way we do work. I shouldn't even say that. If I'm bringing Carter to a family and he has credibility with that family, and if he edifies me properly, it doesn't even matter what I say, we're doing business with that family. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, it really is in that, but you got to understand the process. Do you understand this process? Have you seen somebody close? Have you asked them questions? Why did you say that? Why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. How fast do you want to get that done? Appointment. You write the app. What I would do is once they're done with the whole app and it's closed, and you know that there's an app to write, you know what I would do? Give me an app. On my lunch break, I would review the app. How many of you have done that? Don't raise your hand. How many of you haven't? Don't raise your hand. But anyways, you got it? Get the app. If it's electronically, do one on yourself. Fast. What about the illustration software? How many of you, a lot of you have been on a bunch of appointments. Have you grabbed the illustration software? Well, I'm not appointing it. Is there any compliance in here? No. Grab the illustration software. Can you get it? Yes, you can. Grab it. Put it there. Run. Play with it. Put your numbers. Do whatever you got to do. Do it fast. Yes?
Yes.
How fast do you want to start making money?
Now.
You know, I hear people say things like, "I'm brand new. I'm brand new. I'm only here. I've only been here for 3 months." So now let me ask you a question. If you invested 200,000 in this company to get started, would you consider yourself brand new after 3 months? How fast would you move to make that money back? It's about the value that you're putting and a bunch of wasted time. You're like in the premier opportunity and you still think you're brand new. Okay, next. So we sell 3 things. 1, 2, right? And then you got to learn how to track business. It's not just write the app. You got to track your business because the business that pays is the business that stays. And if you don't know that, you're in for a surprise. Does that make sense? And then you make money. Got it?
Yes.
And then the third one, which is extremely important. So we sell 3 things: opportunity, products, and the third one that we sell is people getting licensed. You got to sell it. You got to know how to sell it. You better be very good at selling it. If you're not good at selling that, you're gonna be recruiting people like crazy. There's a guy, you guys, listen to this. There's a guy that was up there with us. Listen to this, okay? If you listen to his numbers, you might think he's killing it, right? In 3 years, he's recruited 1,800 people. In his base shop, 50 per month. 1,800 in his base shop in 3 years. Got it? Guess how many licensed agents he has? 25 licensed agents. Oh wait, you didn't hear that. Hold on. 1,800, 50 recruits a month. He's at 181 in cash flow. The guy is 28 years old. You look at him speak like the dude is a stud, right? He's at 181, 50 recruits per month. He's up there in the leaders bulletin, blah, 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 blah. 1,800, 25 license.
That's great.
I'm going to help you understand some of the numbers right now, right? So the third thing you sell is what?
Licensing.
So what if this guy had a 20% licensing ratio? We started breaking it down because that's what we did. We started breaking it down. He's at 181. Just if he increases licensing ratio, he would move from 181 to 540 with all the work that he's already doing. You got it? And he's also in the wrong market, so on and so forth. Some of you can go through the whole business fired up. I got 10 recruits. I got 15. And you're blowing and going, and there's no comprehensive plan for you to get better. For you to track what you need to get better at. Does that make sense? You need to know your system, your numbers, right? So number 3, you get people licensed. What's the pipeline behind that? So I'm going to write it up here. That way you guys can see it. What's the pipeline behind that? So again, you get somebody, what? AMA. Then you put them through test, prep, right? Then you monitor. Ooh, that's a new word for you. Then you recognize. Then they get what? License. And then they're off to make money. Listen to this statistic, okay? The only reason why people end up quitting our company, some of the major reasons, if you can get, so they don't make money and they quit. Got it?
Yeah.
So now, if you get somebody to make $1,000 in our company, the chances of them staying go up 6 times. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, but you know the only way they don't make money, you know how it is? If they don't get licensed. So how fast should you work on somebody getting licensed? Like how fast? So I'll give you a thought. You recruit them. How much do they have to pay to get recruited? By the way, you got to run this with your upline, but this is something we're doing. You recruit them, and you get them into their licensing course
Immediately.
the same day. Okay, think about this. What if they don't have the money for the licensing course? By the way, you run that by your SMB. That's up to them. Does that make sense? But if they, how are they not gonna make money? By not getting what? License. The first week is the most critical one. So your chances just went through the roof by signing them up for their course immediately. Wouldn't you agree? You recruit them and you put them through the licensing course the same day. That's what this man said. Look, you recruit them and you put them in license immediately. AMA and so how much is the licensing course nowadays? $40. So it costs how much to get started with our company? You got it? Could that increase your licensing? Then, through test teachers, there's something called, you can be a manager. So you're the upline, you're recruiting a team, and they can put your name as a manager, and you have to what? You got to do some work. You're in business. You got to monitor where your team is at. And then you recognize them, figure out some recognition for your team, and you get a license. So we saw how many things?
Three.
We saw the opportunity, we saw products, and we saw getting licensed. Any questions?
No.
Comments?
Fantastic.
Are you guys learning some stuff?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta start flying through this, okay? So we saw how many things?
Three things.
Are you sure?
Yes.
3. We sell 3 things and we build, right? So McDonald's sells a bunch of hamburgers and stuff, but they build franchisees. Does that make sense? Yes? So they sell hamburgers and they build what? Franchisees. We build 2 things, okay? As a company, there's 2 things that we build. Number 1, we build a producer. Yes or yes?
Yes.
We build a producer. There's people who will never become a builder, but will they be producers? Yes or yes?
Yes.
There's people who will never own a franchise, but they'll be the manager of the franchise. Yes?
Yes.
So we build producers, right? And there's a pipeline in building a producer. First of all, you gotta what? Recruit them. Then after you recruit them, you gotta license them, right? You gotta license them. Then after you license them, you gotta take them out in the field. Now there's a whole thing about building a producer when you're taking them out in the field here. Yes?
Yes.
There's a whole thing of recruiting. I already showed you the pipeline and how you recruit somebody. And there's a pipeline to do it, yes?
Yes.
And then license, and then there's a pipeline for the licensing. Then out in the field, you got to take people out in the field, and there's a whole lot of psychology there. Does that make sense? What do you do after you get out in the field as a trainer, right? You sit down with him. You debrief. You sound why? Why did this happen? Blah 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 blah. And you build a what? A producer. Then after they get out in the field and they're motivated, and then they go home and they get demotivated, guess what you have to do to them? You gotta what? Motivate them. Then after they get demotivated, you gotta what? Motivate them again, right? And then after they're thinking of quitting, that guess what you have to do again? You gotta motivate them again. And then when they're going like they're fired up, and then all of a sudden, and then you have to what? Motivate them. And then you have to motivate them again. And then you have to motivate them again. And then you have to motivate them again. And then finally, let them go, somebody said. They become a
Producer.
people have ups and downs. Ups and downs. You gotta be in that business. Got it? Yes? So we build 2 things. Producers, and this is the pipeline. You do it. Right? And the second one we build, what else do we build? Huh? Okay. Huh?
Agency.
Agency. Who said that? Leaders. You build leaders. Wow, I was like salivating to hear the pipeline on this one. I was like, give it to me, please. I'm out of here after I'm done. Just this one. You guys want to know?
Yeah.
We'll do it next week, okay? I'm done. No. Auntie! Is she complaining?
You're afraid of people.
Leaders. So what do you guys think the number 1 thing you must do to build leaders? The number 1 thing you must do. Of course, yeah. What do you think you should do? Challenge is part of it, yeah.
Build a relationship.
Huh?
Relationship.
You gotta build. You gotta build a quality, personal relationship. That's the number one thing you do. You recruit somebody.
3 minutes.
You gotta build a quality personal relationship. Number two, after you do that, you gotta identify their gifts and talent, and pour. By the way, it's gonna be very easy for you to point out their faults. Don't do that. Identify their gifts and talent and pour that like crazy. The next one, you give them proper instructions. And then Natalie said it. You have to challenge them. If they go over the hurdle of the challenge, let me tell you what's going to happen to them. They build something called a new identity. And now you have a leader. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Quality personal relationships. I mean, think about it. If you start paying attention to what happens, I'm seeing it with Ruben. What did Dan immediately do with Ruben and his wife? What did you guys do? Have dinner. Immediately.
Yeah, that's Saturday.
What is Dan trying to do with Ruben? Not just a relationship or a quality, personal relationship, right? And I guarantee you he already identified his gifts. And he's giving them some instructions. I guarantee you he challenged them already. Big time. Does that make sense? Got it? Okay, go get your guest.
Great job, Alfonso.
Thank you, sir.
Can you just click it on pause it so
Thank you. Thank you.
all I have to do is click pause. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish it up.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Your guess?
Dennis.
All right. So let me give you some. So I have you guys ever wondered? There's two people in the bait shop that are really extremely hot right now. They're kicking, not in the bait shop, in the hierarchy. They're kicking some butt, and by like you know who it is, right? One of them is Paul. Yes or yes?
Yes.
The other one is rising, and is who? Francis, right? So Paul is, and then Francis, right? He just came. By the way, he didn't come out of nowhere. This dude is a this dude works. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of questions would you ask him? Based on what you saw here, what kind of questions would you ask him about his business? See, because the right questions, if you ask the right questions, it can set you forward with your business. Does that make sense? So I called him, right before the meeting, and I wanted to give you guys this numbers so you guys understand this deal. So I'm gonna compare that other dude's business to Francis's business. You got it?
Yes.
You guys are getting the best of the best, right? So there's three things you must learn how to monitor pretty good, right? By the way, as I go through this, I want you to really think of yourself as a leader. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You leading your business, yes?
Yeah.
You really gotta you gotta see yourself that way. Like, not my leaders doing this, me, I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna run my business. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So, number one is we talked about it, license percentage. You got it? It says you build your team, you must pay attention to that. And I already showed you how you can get that number up. I already showed you the pipeline, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Then number two is you gotta pay attention to your persistency. Meaning, you write business and how much of it stays in the books. Does that make sense? Your persistency. And the third one is, and I'm not going to cover a lot of detail, but this is more like a leadership kind of deal, but you need to know. Production per recruit. You got it? Let me show you how crazy this can be if you don't pay attention to these things as you build your business. I wish I would learn this stuff many years ago. But if you don't pay attention to this, that young kid that's kicking some butt, he could be making 6-7 times more money. By the way, he learned this stuff now that he was in there. Does that make sense? Yes? So number one, so he had 1,800 recruits. He had 20 some licensed people, right? His persistency was about 50%, right? And his production per recruit was about 1,000 points. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's Mr. X. Got it?
Yeah.
By the way, I would rather have a guy like this or somebody who does absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Got it? Because there's some room to coach the guy, and then he's a stud. He's
Yeah.
already doing all the work.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay. The second guy he's recruited 400 people. He's got 40 license agents. Did you just see the huge number?
Yeah.
Is that pretty significant?
Yes.
By the way, this is still kind of low, but 400, he has 40 license agents. His persistency is 85%, and his production per recruit is 6,000 points. You got it?
Efficiency.
Production per recruit, 6,000. I called him and I asked him those questions. Seen that? That's huge.
That's total, like on the 400, or that what you?
That's all he's recruited in the last 2 years. 40 license agents, 85 persistency, 6,000 points per recruit. Got it? Okay. So you take care of that deal, right? How do you take care of this deal? How do you take care of this deal? You do something called a FNA for everyone you meet to find the real need. You got it?
You don't skip that step. You don't do a one appointment close.
Never. The hierarchy that I was with, they're not notorious by doing a one appointment close. It was impertinent.
Alfonso, you know what the difference is in the personal cash flow between the two leaders you got out there?
Oh.
One's got 1,800 recruits and one's got 400.
181,000 and 300,000. A third of the work? I don't know.
But less than a fourth of the recruits.
Less than a fourth of the recruits. So what if this dude here has this numbers? So hold on. Are you guys getting this stuff?
Yeah.
So if I would ask you, hey, what's your licensing percentage? You probably don't even know. What's your persistency? Man, I never wrote an app. Production per recruit, right? So here, you do a first appointment, a second appointment, you do an FNA for everybody. That's something we're applying. We didn't do it before. You do an FNA for who? Everybody. I hated it. Didn't like it. The man said you do an FNA for? There's two numbers that you gotta identify in the FNA. There's two numbers. Your retirement number and your coverage number. What is the number? Your FNA will tell you that you give it to your client. You need $2 million by the time you get there with what you want. And how much coverage do you really need? Those two, you do it and you take it to your client. You got it? And you sell on a what? Needs basis. That'll help you identify. If you're just going in there and say, oh, you need a policy for $200,000, put $200 a month. I'm out of here. This will be very low. So you do this for who? Do you guys know what an FNA is?
Yes.
Get on the computer. By the way, I hated it. So I just did it and I love it. When I presented, they're like, oh, how can we put more money away? Yeah! I love it. FNA. Production per recruit. How do you solve that one? Some of you are not going to like this. Some of you are not going to like it. Nancy. There's three things that are very important for you to upgrade this. And I know that to be true for a fact. these. I've called some of these leaders, and I know that to be true. Rocky Shee. Does anybody know who Rocky Shee is? These numbers are. Whew. Anyways, number one. This is who you're gonna recruit on your team. Only. Only. And nobody else. You don't look at them, you don't flirt with them, you don't bring them to the meeting, you don't do anything. They must be over 30 years old. 30 plus. Some of you are like, oh, what are you talking about? 30 plus. Number two, they must be married. And number three, their income, and this is the market you get to. By the way, he was conservative. And he said, I'm going to be conservative. 70K plus income. Okay, so now let's look at this guy's business. And let's look at this guy's business. You guys ready? You guys ready? Have you guys seen? By the way, I went and spoke to his fast start. He had 60 plus people there. You know that 90% of everybody who was sitting in that meeting was exactly like that. 90 plus percent of everybody that was sitting in the meeting. By the way, the energy was like, but his business is incredible. I want his energy and his business. You got it? 90% of everybody who was sitting in the room was, he has a couple of youngsters that are married. Like one couple or something, right? Okay, hold on. Guess what this business looks like? I would say 99% of everybody he's got on his team have it. Not one of those. They're under 30, they're not married, and they don't make over 70 grand a year. See the difference?
Business.
Huh?
It's a transient business. People come in and they come in and
Stand up if you're under 30 or under 30 years old. Stand up. Wow. Okay. Listen. Remain standing if you're not married. Remain standing if you're not married. Wow. Only two sat down. Oh wait, you guys are lucky. You guys are in already.
never leaving though.
Okay, have a seat. So, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Am I good, Shannon? 9:02. Am I good? All right. So, like this seminar just blew like the lid. Like it was incredible. All right. I want you to picture this one guy. There's two guys that buy a truck, and they go to the landfill. Got it? And they go buy watermelons, and they're the best watermelons you can buy. And they buy them for $1 a piece. And they go back to the highway and they put it on the fruit stand, and they put them all there. And people come by and buy them for $1 a piece. And then they go back, right? And they buy another truckload for $1 a piece. Then they come back and they put it in the fruit stand and they sell it for $1 a piece. Then they go back, right? They get another truckload and they do that a couple of times, and then they stop and then they look at each other and they say, "Hey, we're not making any money doing this." And then the other moron says, "Let's buy a bigger truck." That's exactly what happens when you don't focus in the right market. By the way, some of you don't get it. You're going to become a field trainer. It's really tough. Listen, it's not that we're just, when people are not in that situation, think about this. If you're 22, 23, for the most part, you're selfish. It's all about who? You. When you have a kid, is it all about you anymore? You'll take a bullet for that kid. Does that make sense? You take a bullet for your wife, yes? It's a big deal. The whole dynamics completely changed. Yes or yes? Completely. Believe me. This dude, 90%. By the way, if you look at Paul's business, it looks about the same. There,
But it did 3 years ago.
it did not. He had to learn this the hard way. We all have gone through that, right, Ned? We all have gone through that. By the way, listen. It's very tempting to bring that person on board. Let me tell you what he told me to do. Let me tell you what he told me to do. Who's between 22 and 25 in here? Okay, let me tell you what he told me to do. What's your name, sir? Matt. So Matt looks like a stud, right?
Yeah.
He talks like a stud. He looks like a stud. He says he's a stud. Got it? Yes? Watch this. This is what he told me to do. He says if the guy thinks he's a stud, bring him in, sit him down, and say, listen, go back home and go put a list together of 50 to 100 couples that are married, over 30 years old, and they both have a job.